Hello everyone, this is Dan Kullback, Solution Consultant. Excited to demonstrate our NetSuite procurement process for you today and show you the visibility, the insights, the control that can be gained by moving this process onto the unified platform. Real quick, this is a safe harbor statement, nothing fancy. As you know, in NetSuite, we're a disruptor and cloud-based ERP. Our existing customers experience this through the biannual upgrade. We do that just to make sure you're using the latest and greatest solutions. So with this, just please note, this discussion today, it's not a commitment to deliver any specific material if you reevaluate procurement at a later time. So three main goals. Number one, highlight some common procurement needs that we see from many different companies across our portfolio of business. And then do an overview of our NetSuite procurement solution and a demonstration of how we address these needs. Again, the value of jumping on the unified platform. So really, a lot of recurring challenges that we see our customers face when they first come onto NetSuite mainly stem from the fact that these activities, their purchasing, procurement activities, they still happen outside of the system. So where manual processes may have been fine to begin with, they really run into challenges as they grow. So offline processing, it's really a lack of efficiency, right? If we don't have a defined who can purchase, who can approve, a lack of visibility if there's not a unified source of where the spend is coming from, and ultimately a lack of cost control as a result of all of these things. When we think about approvals from the audit perspective, it's really a control weakness if this process isn't defined in a centralized location. If things are found via email, right, it exposes the risk of individuals usurping the process if all they need is a simple approval via email. A lack of being able to track these approvals to see if they even exist in the first place. It's really a control nightmare. And then from a vendor management perspective, again, if we can't control our vendor list, we can't enforce that on a system. We really don't have insights right into vendor performance. There's no bargaining power if we can leverage all of our different purchases against them in a centralized area, right, to understand how much we've been spending, if there is truly an opportunity to bargain with them, and then the statistics or the data to back that up. So again, this may have been or offline may have been a fine process when you begin with. Again, growing companies, they really want to standardize this process, gain control over these costs, enforce accountability to make sure they're not bleeding money. And this is where NetSuite comes in to help. Right now, we're on a great visualization of our standard procurement process, as well as NetSuite capabilities. If you're not familiar, a good portion of these it's already included within your current NetSuite instance today out of the box. So beginning the process out, purchase requests for items or services can be initiated by end users, and we have the ability to dictate these permissions and who these end users are. Now, they can be doing this out of an employee center role, limited access role, as we'll see, or full access users with the right permissions also always have the ability to create these purchase requests as well. Now, out of the box, there's different approval routing that we can do based on supervisor dollar threshold. But if we need to get more robust, more dynamic, we can always configure a workflow for you, or you can implement a solution like our advanced approvals, leading to those more dynamic rules. As soon as our purchase requests are approved, they create purchase orders automatically, which can again automatically be sent out to your vendors. This is a defined vendor list. Upon receipt of those goods, you have the option to one-click create an item receipt. Same thing with a vendor bill. Once that comes in, one-click create a vendor bill. This allows for efficiency in processing. We don't have to constantly re-enter this information. And our item receipt and our vendor bill, for example, these help capture, we're a transaction-based system, as we'll see, they capture the accruals, right? The posting, whether that's an item received, not billed, billing hitting our AP account, etc. So out of the box, three-way matching, it's accomplished through standard save searches, and you can always be notified if there is, right, if our item receipt doesn't equal our vendor bill amount, doesn't equal the purchase order amount, etc. Additional capabilities that you should inquire on with your account manager if there is interest, are fixed asset capabilities. So you have the ability to generate fixed assets coming directly off our procurement transactions, right? So we can capitalize these And then from there, we can manage them throughout their entire asset lifecycle. Additionally, includes our different payment methods. So out of the box, we can pay down our vendor bills, our payables via check, print that check out of the system. But if we need more robust needs like the ability to create an electronic bank payment file for your bank to be able to process EFT or ACH, we have tools to be able to accomplish that as well. So again, this is the standard procurement process. What we see highlighted, it's out of the box already today in NetSuite. So this is what we're going to focus on, looking at this and seeing if this is the right solution for you to gain control of this process. But again, this whole process I wanted to note is part of the full end-to-end procure-to-pay offering we have at NetSuite, all the way through to fixed asset capitalization and advanced payment capabilities as well. So we're going to start off this process routing a purchase request through approval, creating a purchase order, item receipt, vendor bill, and paying that down via check, all native capabilities. So let's hop into the system and see what this looks like. So step number one is determining who can make our purchases. Now, for our full access users, if they have permission, they always have the ability to do that, to create a purchase order. But if we want to take it a step before that, employees can submit purchase requests that can route through approval through what's called the Employee Center role. So in this case, we're in Abby Kwan's Employee Center role. And this is where Abby logs time, logs expenses, and what we're here to talk about today, creates purchase requests. So here we see one that she created the other day, or excuse me, today, and it's subject to purchase supervisor approval. Now, when Abby came in the system, all she had to do in this case was select a vendor and also select the item, right? So this is an Apple iPad. She needs this when she goes on site. Things like classification, right? So subsidiary location, they can be locked to Abby's role. She doesn't have to know or enter that information in. Same thing with department as well. It's all configurable by you. But in this case, it's subject to an approval. So native approval routing, it can go to supervisors based on dollar threshold, but we can really get creative, right? We can really get very dynamic either through custom workflows that are technically native to the system, or through suite solutions like the Advanced Approval Suite solution, where we can do things like email-based approval. So at this point, this is sitting in our supervisor's queue. So let's go to her supervisor's role. So this is Tom Anderson. This is Abby's supervisor, in this case, the IT manager. And we're going to reference Tom's, in this case, on Tom's dashboard, the reminders portlet, so your favorite digital to-do list. So we can route things here, namely, if you're just a manager, right? So approvals over your subordinates' expense reports, purchase requests, and also any other task that you want to associate here as well, calls to complete, items to review, things of that nature. So popping open, we see we've got a new purchase order that just came through. That's the one that we had submitted. So in this case, this purchase order, once we approve it, it's going to be sent out, but this is the purchase request that Abby just submitted, as we just see here. So again, I have the chance to review this. I see it's an iPad. You know, if the memo was captured here, maybe I'd understand what this was for. And we have the ability to capture that information in multiple fields and system. So as our manager, I can review this, I can take a look, I can reject or approve. Upon approval, we give you the option to automate this purchase order email. So this email at this point, approved by supervisor, it's now pending receipt. This can automatically, once approved, shoot out to an email to the vendor. So if we recall back, we can one-click convert this purchase order into item receipt, vendor bill, capturing our accruals, not having to navigate across departments, entering in bills, entering in purchase orders across disparate systems. We're starting to see a flow here. So again, once this is approved, purchase order can be auto sent out, and we can choose whether or not we want to receive. So in this case, this is pending receipt because our Apple iPads we've set up to be able to receive. We want to capture that accrual. So I'm going to go to our purchasing manager role. You know, this can be an individual on the shop floor, in the in the delivery room, right? That They're managing all the inventory, they're managing all the purchases. They're able to capture them upon receipt. We can always configure this dashboard, in this case, Stella James, the purchasing manager. So she's got her tiles with her most relevant items, KPIs, right, telling her value of purchase orders, the amount of late ones. We can create save searches to run three-way matches on vendor bills. Again, all this readily available at her fingertips as we are on the unified platform. So in this case, Stella sees all the orders she has to receive. So these are all the open purchase orders, once again routed through her reminders. So the one at the top, this is the one that we had just sent through approval. Let's say it comes in. As Stella, if we're doing this process outside of the system, she'd probably be receiving an email with all the open purchase orders. Again, we just see how one click through reminders, she has the ability to see all these open ones and come in here and select the ones that have been received. So we see it's for this purchase order. We're going to go ahead and one click, and it's going to generate this item receipt record. The date will auto-populate. We can capture a memo if needed. It's always going to reference that purchase order and even bring forward, right, number one, the item, number two, the quantity. So we have the ability to fill out what's been received. We can partially receive if necessary. And then if we have our three-way match save searches running, it can ID any discrepancies and apply that to our dashboard to notify us. But if it comes in flawless, I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is select save. So within 2 clicks, we've captured the item in the system. So this also, navigating back to that, will capture the GL impact as well. So for this item receipt, we see it is hitting our expenses. In this case, we're not capitalizing these Apple iPads. And also we're crediting a holding account, inventory received, not billed. It's capturing this accrual for you. So where you once spent hours and hours reconciling this at the end of a period, or maybe you do this on a period by period basis, we don't have to worry about that with NetSuite. We can capture the accruals for items received, not billed. And then as soon as the bill comes in, because we're a transaction-based system, it's going to reverse this accrual. So a lot of time saving, again, having everything in one system. It's notifying me when I need to receive something, and within a couple of clicks, I've received it and it's hit the GL account. Now it's time to bill, right? Because it's not billed yet. Speaking of, let's go ahead and walk through that process. Very similar, again, as to when the bills come in, what that looks like. So I'm navigating to my AP analyst role. And in this case, this is Ann Trainer. Ann Trainer is our AP analyst. Once again, her dashboard has been configured to all her most prominent needs, right? So understanding our payables, what's left outstanding, KPIs to tell us how we're trending. We're decreasing our payables. This is good. Average days to pay, information on those. All the information that I would just want to digest with one glance applied to the dashboard, to the home screen. We can even apply the AP aging, shortcuts to items, tasks, vendors, reports, things of that nature. So as you may have been able to assume at this point, we've got reminders telling us, hey, outstanding bills we have to pay and also purchase orders we have to bill. So let's say the bill just came in for this transaction that we've been processing. Again, I come in and I select what's applicable and submit. So this is going to generate that invoice, record in system, reverse that accrual, hit that GL. And we have the ability to manage all sorts of information on this, including how we pay it. So again, I have the chance to look this over. It's defaulting to our typical accounts payable account, the amounts, the departments, all stemming from the initial purchase order. So all I have to do is, I can partial bill if I want, or just select save. As with all of our transactions, including the purchase orders, our bills can be set for approval as well if necessary. And then going back to this bill, again, we can take a look at the GL impact. And as expected, it's crediting our AP and debiting out that holding account. So transaction-based system, not only are we working with and across different departments, the system's telling us when we need to do things. And within a couple of clicks, we're converting those transactions in the system and it's hitting the GL for us. Now, NetSuite payment methods, again, we can have notifications and we can pay in bulk, or we can simply select make a payment, right, from our bills. Out of the box, we support checks. The system can cut checks for you, right? And it can auto-populate numbers, and then you can submit them for printing. Other methods include electronic payment. We can use partners for credit card payments, partners for wires. But in this case, we're just going to process this as a check. So if we have more than one bill for the customer, in this case, we're looking at their entire amount. Let's just say I want to pay off the balance. I have the ability to do so. Once again, with this, we have a link back to the original source documents, popping open the one that we just saw, naturally being marked as paid in full. So with procurement, there's many different reports that we can leverage as well, and I'm going to pop open a few. So the first and most prominent that comes to mind, right, is the AP aging summary. So as with NetSuite, we run dynamic reports, right? We can configure the AP aging based of an as of date, right? So we can look at a snapshot in the past, see how we're progressing. Look at it on a subsidiary context if I want to drill specifically into a location or in the parent overall. As with all reports, our reports are real time and they're drillable. Another one are purchases by vendor summary. This tells us who we're spending money with. So once again, we can configure based on the context of subsidiary or date. But this allows us insight now, having everything on the unified platform to understand, okay, who are we spending the most money with? In this case, AECOM Business Solutions. Maybe I want to drill into this and start to see what these transactions are. See these open bills, identify the large ones, understand where they came from. Again, visibility, auditability. It's a really great tool, and it's all in real time with our reports. Another great report are purchases by item summary. We just looked at who we bought from and where we're spending our money. Now we're looking at what we're spending our money on. So actionable intelligence to be able to review this information. Hey, you know what? We spent $42,000 on iPads. That's ridiculous. I'm going to drill in and put the kibosh on this. Really, information that you might not have or might not have readily available to be able to pivot on had you not been on the unified platform like our customers with NetSuite. So where our reports showed us overall, if I really want to get into the nitty-gritty, say within a vendor, I have the ability to do so on what's called the vendor dashboard. So similar to our CRM process, our vendors as well as our customers have their own dashboards. Here we are in the vendor record, right? So not only are we logging financial information, terms, contact information, having a source to review all the historical transactions, but if we click open this speedometer, and again, this is the same on our customer records, we're going to have their own dashboard with their own summarized reports and information here as well. So here I can take a look at key performance indicators, actionable intelligence, telling me that I've spent 42% more already this year with AECOM Business Solutions than last year. Well, now I have this information readily disposable at my fingertips to go back to them and say, hey, you know what? We're spending a lot of money here. We want to continue to do so, but we need to negotiate into favorable terms. I may also take a look at that and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I got to get down our open PO balance before I start throwing around demands. I have shortcuts to links for purchase reports, all specific to them. I have a one-stop shop look at transactions, and I can even have consumable information like these trend graphs to tell me what I'm spending the most money on. So once again, what is this? Because we have everything on the platform, it's real-time actionable intelligence to really drive our decision making and give us the ability to pivot on the fly. So that's our out-of-the-box procure to pay process. And really what we're getting right, define workflows on the unified platform. Everything's in system. The system can notify us. We can do things within a couple of clicks rather than having to reconcile across multiple spreadsheets, follow up with people in different departments, all those disparate processes. We can now track our information, right? The visibility we have behind vendor relationships. So looking at performance, if we have outstanding purchase orders, leveraging those insights as we saw on the Vendor 360, and then overall visibility, right? What are we buying? Who's buying it and when, to allow you to make decisions based on this information that you now have within NetSuite. So at this point, in order to learn more about how our procurement process can be deployed to help your business, either through providing visibility or streamlining the process, I implore you to reach out to your account manager. What they'll do is they'll loop in a solution consultant like myself. We'll go through your needs and we'll understand how they fit in to this solution within NetSuite. Thank you.